In a significant escalation of geopolitical tensions, Russian President Vladimir Putin recently proposed the establishment of a temporary administration in Ukraine to oversee upcoming elections, a suggestion swiftly rejected by the United States and other international bodies. This proposal comes amidst an ongoing conflict that has seen both sides intensifying military operations and accusations of attacks on critical infrastructure. During a Security Council meeting held via video conference, Putin articulated his vision for Ukraine under a UN-backed transitional government. He claimed that such a step would facilitate elections and address what he described as the illegitimate leadership in Kyiv. However, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reacted firmly, asserting that the governance of Ukraine should remain solely in the hands of its people. The rejection was echoed by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who emphasized the legitimacy of Ukraine's current government. As political maneuvering unfolds, the military landscape remains volatile. Ukrainian forces, reportedly losing their hold on previously captured territory in the Kursk region, have launched incursions into the adjacent Belgorod region, engaging in combat with Russian troops. Despite the uncertainty surrounding these reports, neither Kyiv nor Moscow has confirmed the details. Russian military bloggers indicate that heavy clashes have occurred, particularly in settlements such as Popovka and Demidovka. Emil Kastahelmy, a military analyst, commented on the situation, stating that while the Ukrainian forces may be attempting to distract Russian military efforts, any tactical gains are unlikely to translate into a strategic advantage. The conflict's intensity is further underscored by mutual accusations of attacks on energy infrastructure. For instance, both Russia and Ukraine have blamed each other for strikes on a key gas transit point in Sudza, with images emerging of significant damage. This back-and-forth has raised concerns about the potential for further escalations, especially as both nations accuse one another of violating an informal truce regarding energy strikes that had been in place since mid-March. Additionally, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned of a looming Russian spring offensive, particularly in the Sumy and Kharkiv regions. He indicated that Russia may be using the ongoing peace negotiations as a facade to prepare for renewed military aggression. This sentiment is mirrored by reports of intensified ground operations in these areas, complicating the prospect of a peaceful resolution. Amidst these developments, Ukraine continues to seek new avenues for military and economic support from its allies. A recent summit in Paris, dubbed the Coalition of the Willing, brought together leaders from 30 nations to discuss ongoing support for Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron highlighted plans to deploy reassurance forces in strategic locations within Ukraine aimed at deterring potential Russian advances should a peace treaty be established. The situation remains fluid, with both military and diplomatic fronts shifting rapidly. The international community's response to Putin's proposals and the evolving battlefield dynamics will be crucial in shaping the future of Ukraine and its relations with Russia. As both sides prepare for potential escalations, the hope for a lasting peace hangs in the balance, contingent upon the outcomes of both military engagements and diplomatic negotiations in the coming weeks. In a striking advancement in modern warfare, Ukrainian forces have demonstrated the lethal potential of unmanned aerial vehicles (UAVs) with a recent drone strike that targeted Russian soldiers while they slept. According to a report by Forbes, the operation was executed by the elite Birds of Magyar unit, employing a second-generation fiber-optic drone equipped with night vision capabilities. This incident underscores the escalating importance of drone technology in the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian conflict, highlighting how innovations in unmanned warfare are reshaping military strategies. The strike occurred during nighttime operations along the front lines in eastern Ukraine, where footage captured by the drone's camera reveals Russian soldiers caught off guard. In a chilling moment, one soldier appeared to wake just before the drone's impact. Forbes noted that the soldiers' lack of basic defensive measures, such as securing the building with protective nets or even closing doors, likely contributed to the success of the attack, which could have resulted in significant casualties. Equipped with advanced infrared cameras for around-the-clock operations, The fiber-optic drone represents a leap in technology compared to earlier models that struggled with maneuverability in confined spaces. The newer designs feature integrated components that enhance their effectiveness, allowing operators to modify payloads based on mission requirements. Forbes remarked that the capability of these drones to infiltrate enemy territory undetected is a good indication of their lethal potential, turning them into a significant threat for Russian forces. This incident is part of a broader trend in the conflict where both Ukrainian and Russian militaries have increasingly relied on drone technologies to gain tactical advantages. The rapid evolution of drone warfare has fundamentally changed the battlefield dynamics, with small UAVs now playing a pivotal role in reconnaissance and direct attacks. As the conflict continues, the implications of these technological advancements extend beyond immediate military benefits. The successful use of drones raises questions about the future of combat and the ethical considerations of autonomous warfare. The ongoing arms race in drone technology will likely continue to influence strategies and outcomes on both sides of the conflict. In tandem with these developments, geopolitical tensions remain high. Russian President Vladimir Putin recently proposed a temporary administration in Ukraine to facilitate new elections, a suggestion that was swiftly rejected by the United States. The White House reaffirmed its stance that Ukraine's governance should be determined by its people, emphasizing the legitimacy of President Volodymyr Zelensky's government. Moreover, the U.S. is reportedly seeking to expand its control over Ukraine's mineral resources as part of a broader strategic partnership. This has raised concerns regarding the potential implications for Ukraine's sovereignty and the complexities of international negotiations amid ongoing hostilities. As the situation evolves, the focus on drone technology and military strategy will likely remain at the forefront of the conflict. The advancements made by Ukrainian forces in drone warfare could signal a shift in how future battles are fought, with both sides investing heavily in technological innovations to secure their positions on the battlefield. The intersection of military strategy and technology will continue to shape the narrative of this protracted conflict, with significant implications for regional and global stability. In a tumultuous backdrop of ongoing conflict and diplomatic maneuvering, recent developments in Ukraine highlight the complexities of international relations amid war. Russian President Vladimir Putin's proposal for a UN-sponsored transitional administration to oversee elections in Ukraine has ignited debate and drawn swift responses from both Ukrainian officials and the United States. As the situation continues to evolve, the implications of these discussions could reshape the landscape of governance in Ukraine and influence the trajectory of peace negotiations. On March 28, 2025, Putin suggested that Ukraine should be governed by a UN-backed administration which would facilitate elections and establish a government deemed legitimate by the international community. Speaking in Murmansk, he emphasized that such a move would allow for democratic elections and the formation of a government that enjoys the trust of the people. However, this proposal has been met with skepticism, particularly from the White House, which reiterated that the governance of Ukraine is a matter for its citizens to decide as stipulated by the Ukrainian constitution. This document explicitly prohibits elections during wartime, raising concerns that Putin's suggestion may be a tactic to prolong the conflict rather than a genuine pathway to peace. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio dismissed high-level talks with Russia as premature, emphasizing that significant groundwork remains before meaningful dialogue can occur. Rubio's comments come on the heels of a diplomatic thaw between Washington and Moscow, a development that has emerged after nearly 3 years of strained relations. Despite the cautious optimism surrounding renewed discussions, many observers remain wary of Russia's intentions, particularly in light of ongoing attacks on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. Complicating matters further, Ukraine has stated that it will not engage in public discussions regarding a proposed minerals deal with the U.S. until a consensus is reached internally. Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko warned that premature talks could hinder constructive negotiations. The deal, which reportedly offers the U.S. a significant stake in Ukraine's mineral resources, has raised concerns among Ukrainian officials about the long-term financial implications for their country. President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed a willingness to explore such agreements but remains adamant about avoiding terms that could jeopardize Ukraine's economic future. In the midst of these developments, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has reiterated Turkey's readiness to facilitate peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, emphasizing the importance of dialogue to resolve the ongoing crisis. Erdogan's involvement highlights the critical role that regional powers play in shaping the peace process, particularly given Turkey's strategic position as a NATO member and its historical ties to both Ukraine and Russia. As the conflict continues, the situation remains fluid. Ukrainian forces have reported shooting down numerous drones in recent attacks, while Russian military operations persist, underscoring the volatility on the ground. The ongoing hostilities, coupled with diplomatic tensions, serve as a reminder of the challenges that lie ahead for both sides in achieving a sustainable resolution. Looking forward, the international community watches closely as negotiations unfold, aware that the outcomes of these discussions will not only impact Ukraine's sovereignty and governance but also set precedents for international diplomatic engagements in conflict zones. The path to peace remains fraught with obstacles, but the commitment to dialogue and negotiation is essential in the quest for stability in the region. In a significant geopolitical development, the Biden administration has firmly rejected Russian President Vladimir Putin's recent proposal for the United Nations to govern Ukraine as a temporary measure while new elections are organized. During a press conference in Murmansk where he was visiting a Russian nuclear submarine, Putin claimed that Ukraine's current leadership under President Volodymyr Zelensky lacked legitimacy and suggested that a UN-led administration could facilitate a transition to a government that would better reflect the will of the Ukrainian people. This assertion, however, met with immediate pushback from the White House, which emphasized that Ukraine's governance is a matter for its own constitution and citizens. Putin's remarks, which referenced the governance models of East Timor and Papua New Guinea, came amidst ongoing tensions and a backdrop of stalled peace talks. The White House National Security Council spokesperson reiterated that Ukraine's democratically elected government is legitimate, dismissing the Russian leader's suggestion as an interference in Ukraine's internal affairs. Notably, while Zelensky's official term expired last year, the Ukrainian constitution prohibits holding elections during wartime, a fact that Putin appears to overlook as he questions the legitimacy of Ukraine's leadership. Recent polling from the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology indicates that 69% of Ukrainians still express trust in Zelensky, further undermining Putin's narrative. Despite the ongoing conflict, Zelensky has continued to call out the Kremlin for attempting to impose terms that equate to surrender. He has also raised concerns about the integrity of future peace negotiations, suggesting that Russian influence may be affecting U.S. officials involved in the talks. Simultaneously, the conflict shows no signs of abating. Reports indicate ongoing military exchanges, with allegations from both sides of attacks on energy infrastructure. Ukraine's military claimed to have downed a significant number of Russian drones, while Russia accused Ukraine of targeting its energy facilities despite a supposed ceasefire agreement regarding such strikes. This cycle of accusations further complicates the already fragile state of negotiations. In a related discussion, President Trump, in a recent call with Zelensky, emphasized the importance of a partial ceasefire, particularly concerning energy infrastructure. While Trump did not convince Putin to accept a full ceasefire, the two leaders agreed to coordinate efforts towards de-escalation. Zelensky expressed cautious optimism about the potential for peace but underscored the need for concrete commitments rather than mere assurances from Russia. European leaders, including British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron, have also reiterated their support for Ukraine, emphasizing military assistance as essential for the country's defense. Macron praised Zelensky for embodying the resistance of a nation under siege and reaffirmed France's commitment to providing military aid, including advanced weaponry and air defense systems. Looking ahead, the conflict in Ukraine remains a focal point for international diplomacy, with both Ukraine and its allies advocating for a comprehensive ceasefire and a return to stability. However, as tensions escalate and accusations fly, the path to peace appears fraught with challenges. The international community will need to navigate these complexities carefully to foster a resolution that respects Ukraine's sovereignty while addressing the broader regional security concerns posed by continued Russian aggression.